Hello, everyone. I'm Billy.
And I'm Kamraun. Welcome to the Horse Frog Podcast, home of your two favorite professional digressors and the creators of the Malazan Brotherhood.
Today, we will be recapping our favorite moments from Memories of Ice, a novel in the Malazan Book of the Fallen.
This podcast series is intended to be a companion to reading or listening to the books set in the Malazan universe. It's not a book review, and it is most definitely not a replacement to reading the books. Both Billy and I know this to be the best fantasy story ever written and want to share our love of the series with you. I know you're trying to get me this time for payback for last week, and I did not fall for it.
Good. I thought you'd be ready for that one.
I have years of training, sir.
Yes, you do. Your training's paid off. I was not ready when that came across. I was ready for it, but when it hits, you're just not ready. And Lord knows how the preachers and these speakers can get by with just blocking that stuff out. Now, this episode will cover everything that happened in Memories of Ice, so full spoilers ahead. So
no redactions.
Yeah, no redactions. Just full blown. So if you hear something here, I'm not sorry.
Quick warning, today's episode contains adult humor and discusses adult topics, and thus is not suitable for children.
Our show is listener supported. If you'd like to support us, we would really appreciate that. And you can do so by visiting our Patreon link on our website at horsefrogproductions.com. Currently, we're posting ad-free episodes on Patreon weekly.
Also, we'd really like to hear from you. Send any feedback or comments to contact@horsefrogproductions.com. All right. Let's start with the prologue.
Okay.
So we set up the storyline that gets closed out at the very end of the book, where Kilava is running with the two children, one of which is Panyan. We don't know this at the time. And the sister is accidentally thrown into the rent. Kilava thinks that she's saving the children. She thinks it's Amtos Falak, and it turns out that it is a wound that is being sealed by the Kachain Shamal matron. So that all takes place in the prologue. We are introduced to how the crippled god was lured into this realm and ripped apart, all to destroy Kalor.
Yeah.
Kalor is approached by Nightchill, Karul, and Draconis. He's sitting on a throne that sits atop a heap of charred bones. This imagery is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
I can still see the ashes falling from the sky. It's so metal.
Oh, yeah,
something
dude.
You see on the cover of a heavy metal album or something.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, there's just lots of imagery that goes in this, especially in the fantasy genre. My favorite artist of all time is Michael Whalen. He does most covers for a lot of the Michael Moorcock stuff and a lot of fantasy in general in the 80s and 90s, and especially like a lot of the Lovecraft stuff. And he has some images I see a disheveled looking entity on a throne. Now take that same scene and put it on a pile of ashes. And I'm like, oh, it's so easy to see that, dude. It's great.
The three elder gods curse Kalor, and he in turn curses them back, and we see some of the stuff that happens to them. We know some of the stuff that's happened to them in the earlier books. We see what happened to Nightchill, and then Karul as well, and then Draconis. So it's kind of a reciprocal curse, and that was nice to tie off that thread of Nightchill's background.
You know, something I had not even really thought about right now until you just tied it right there. It's like, good gracious, yeah, you're right. Every one of these people are thoroughly covered in this book, and these entities, Krull's, we don't know exactly what happened to him. He comes back into being, as it were, in gardens, but, Nightchill's off, and Draconis is residing in the sword. This is not happy company.
Yeah, I think the curse for Karul was he was going to fade into obscurity, which he basically did.
He did.
And then to right this wrong, the elder gods that are there decide to seal off this continent, Jakuruku, and it's now the Imperial Warren.
Yeah.
Kalam traveled through that, saw the signs of Kalor's sigil in the ashes.
Yeah.
It's cool to get all that tied back up together.
Yes, it is.
And then finally, right as they're leaving, we find out that Draconis is in the process of creating Dragnapur, which is the sword that ultimately kills him.
Ouch.
Chapter 1. We're introduced to Gruntle, Stani, and Harlow, and their personalities come through very quickly. Gruntle's the grizzled veteran, Stani's the firecracker, and Harlow is the optimist. We really appreciated how they were presented by Erikson so quickly in that fashion.
Agreed.
Bacalane and Corball Broach are introduced, leading to such wonderful experiences throughout the rest of the book.
Yes. I love those creepy weirdos, dude. They're great.
We find out that Talk is alive, which is wonderful because we always like Talk. even before this book. He was a great character. And then he meets up with Tool.
I was very excited to see that, dude. I know I laughed with you, but this has got, very, very 70s buddies cop show kind of vibes with Tool and talk. So, but it needs to be, they still need to be fantasy set, but in 1970s America. So you have a Talani Mass in like Manhattan. Very out of place. That would need to be the setting, I'm sorry.
Some type of alternate reality Malazan universe in the 70s.
Yes.
What does Krupp look like in this era?
Oh, man, we got a couple of fellas like that. Did you ever watch Charlie's Angels?
No.
He's Bosley, dude.
Okay.
He's Bosley. Oh, my word. I'm going to offend someone with that one. He's Bosley. He's the mouthpiece for Charlie on the TV show. He was the gopher. You never saw Charlie. It was... I think John Forsythe is the actor's name's voice, but you never saw the guy. So he was just Charlie. He just communicated through a desktop speakerphone to the ladies. We didn't watch a whole lot. It's too stupid. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to drag this down, ladies and gentlemen. Let's face it. We were watching this show for the hot young lady and Farrah Fawcett. I mean, dude, she was fine. And so there was not a lot of show. But yeah, Bosley. It's Bosley. You just got to look up Bosley.
Okay. We are then introduced to Lady Envy, her dags, and the Segula. The Segula for you and I are really some of our favorite parts of this book. They're not in it a ton, but the bits that they are highly impactful.
Very charged segments.
And that leads us to the fight between Senu and Tool, the first of the duels that take place. We didn't even see it. We just heard a couple knocks in the background. Like he's on us knocked out.
Can we turn around and turn around, and someone's on the ground. You're like, hey, what's going on there? Something happened?
Yeah. All right, chapter 2. Blend and Picker are finally in a heavy dialogue scene. We've had a little bit of Picker, but this is the first interaction we see between these two, and there's a lot of really good banter as we continue to see throughout the books. They intercept that artisan who actually is able to, he thinks, get past them with his contraband, and then he goes to see the crippled god. And we see how the crippled god rewards those that serve him.
Mm-hmm.
He basically turns this guy into a paraplegic, even though he pays him for making the cards that ultimately help form the House of Chains.
Yeah. Shows
us how cruel the crippled god can be.
Yes, he's very Faustian.
We find out that Picker and Blend seemingly pilfered 300 councils from the Trigal delivery meant to supply Dujek's army. A little bit of gambling issues, probably.
I forgot about them scoring that 300 councils there. Nice. It's taken us a while to get through this book yet again.
Oh, it was over a year. Easily.
Yeah.
1 episode a week.
Yes.
65 episodes.
Holy moly. Okay.
Well over a year.
I didn't know it was that many episodes.
Wow. A year and 2 months.
Okay.
Quick Ben in this scene admits that Trigal makes him nervous.
Wow.
So something about those mages. And Quick Ben's a pretty formidable sorcerer, so that's saying a lot about the Trigal Trade Guild.
Yeah.
Quick Ben goes to see the crippled god to take his measure, and actually has the audacity to attack him.
I know it, dude. This is the marbles on that fella. The minerals.
The stones. You got the minerals?
Yeah, I got the minerals.
The crippled god slaps him down real hard. And that's pretty incredible to see, given how sick he is. He's chained in place. He's racked by this coughing, but he's still very powerful.
Yeah, compared to to a lowly ascendant. It's like, wow, you guys are beneath me. That was a hard smack he gave to him.
Then we get that amazing scene where Quick Ben is dragged into another realm.
Yes.
And he sees the crumbling, childlike earth elemental giants that are holding up. They're like the bones of Burn.
Yes.
And they're crumbling due to this fever that is infecting them from the crippled god being chained to Burn.
Very core memory for me and you both, I believe, on that.
Absolutely. I love that image.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really big escalation in the storyline because everybody that's associated with this planet is at risk now, because you can't really live on a planet that is dying from infection like this.
Right.
We see Perrin having trouble managing the stresses of what's been put on him. This is the beginnings of the ulcer that's really eating him alive. And I remember the first time I read through, I had a lot of trouble with him in this book because it just sounded like he was feeling bad for himself the whole time, just chewing himself up. And I just wanted him to just step up.
Exactly.
It was like half the book before we got to that point.
Yeah. It's like, wah, I've got an ulcer that's killing me. Wah. It was like, dude, and then it's like I cut him some slack because I really, as you and I've talked about, our respected admiration for Perrin on this read through has really grown by leaps and bounds, and I love that boy now. But yeah, I didn't feel so much that way this turn.
Yeah, and that kind of takes us to me trying to see things from different people's perspectives a little bit better, and I can see how you would have trouble. You have to process what is being thrown on you. You can't just, oh yeah, I'm going to accept this. You have to be willing and ready in some cases, and sometimes it takes time to get there if you ever do.
Well, dude, I think when it's all said and done, what is it, maybe 10 months have elapsed since the start of Gardens of the Moon, maybe a year. I don't think it's even quite a year. And he has been killed, resurrected, sucked into a sword, attacked by hounds, not just any hounds, but shadow hounds. Yeah, this guy's been through a lot.
Yeah, you're right. It is a lot to take in.
Like you said, you got to process it, and that's a lot to process.
And then Mallet tries to take a look at him, and his Warren recoils from Perrin.
Sorry, Perrin.
Kind of a wild thing to see. I don't even know if we still ever realize what the reasoning behind that was.
Is that going to be our first indication of the poisoning of the Warrens?
Well, the way it was described, it seemed like it was repulsed by him, or it recoiled. You know what? You're probably right. Maybe that's how Mallet was interpreting it. Maybe that's what it was. Mallet felt the corruption for the first time there, maybe.
Okay, that's the only thing I could think of why it'd be a little different.
Chapter 3. This is where we find out the Silver Fox is feeding off the life force of the Maib.
That's a weird reveal, too. That was very sad, because when we're introduced to the Maib, she's already old.
That's a tough pill to swallow, that trait of life force, as we will repeatedly encounter throughout the rest of the book until the very end.
The rest of this book, yes.
We get a scene where Corlat and the Maib are checking out Whiskey Jack, so that's the first signs we see that Corlat might be interested in him. Silver Fox starts making some enigmatic comments about Artanthos, so this is where you start getting little hints that he may not be as he seems he is right now.
Yes. Now, quick question. I don't know if we have it noted in these notes here. When is the chapter when the leg is first mentioned?
Oh, I didn't note that.
Okay.
Probably been at least once this chapter to start with.
I think so. I believe it started so early in the book. You and I were shocked by that.
I was originally taking a tally, and it got to a point where I was like, it's every time he's mentioned almost, the leg is brought up. Virtually every time.
Yeah.
Whiskey Jack is informed that the Mott Irregulars are in Brood's forces, and he almost chokes. And this is an indicator of some fun times to come. So I really love the fact that he had this reaction, because even Brood, at the end of the book, his reaction to the Mott Irregulars being in Coral, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic, dude. They're amazing.
Whiskey Jack and Dujek, they're kind of rage-baiting Crone in this chapter, and that was really fun. And then Brood has to threaten to strap her beak closed. That kind of stuff. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the chapter where we find out backstory for Brood's map table.
Oh, love that, dude. The table.
And this is also the first mention of the Teniscowry Horde. We don't get a lot of details on them, but it's the first time that they're mentioned.
All right.
Whiskey Jack also slaps Calor in the face. Brood has to hold Calor back. We know where this goes.
Dude. Yes, we do. Dude, and if it wasn't for that dadgum...
Yeah.
Apparently he would have had him, too.
Yeah. We find out that the Talani Mass have been summoned as well from Silver Fox.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know at that point what is going to transpire when they get there. We just know that they're coming.
I'm sorry. I love when I look at my notes and I'm like, what is the matter with me when I come up with these thoughts,
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what you wrote down here?
I can just see this like a really weird Woodstock with the IMAS rolling up in a bunch of weird microbuses, some type of Thailand IMAS VW microbus smoking a ton of weed, look like a bunch of skeletal hippies. I don't know why, I just have this in my brain for some reason sometimes.
It's almost like you would be the one directing the yellow submarine of the Malazan universe. That is basically what you're describing.
Yes, you're right. That movie did kind of warp me as a child. I did see that young on the 3 o'clock movie with my mother, and I'm like, what is the matter with me? I don't know. My parents showed me weird stuff as a kid. What do you want? I watch weird, bleak 70s, crazy, weird stuff that still lives in my head.
We were given some more details about the birth of the Great Ravens in this chapter, where they crawled out of the rotting pieces of the crippled god's flesh as maggots, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they come out of that, whether they were maggots or just like maggots, I'm not sure. It's still very undignified. I think Crone is kind of bent out of shape about people finding about this.
And that's kind of a secret. All right, chapter 4. We get to meet Buke for the first time and hear his backstory. Very sad character.
Very.
This is also the chapter where Quick Ben meets the Witch of Bern, and there's some great dialogue in there between them, and she's calling him a desert snake. She kind of sets up the solution for the end of the book, where they find a way to slow this infection in Bern, but she sets Quick Ben on that path. We are finally introduced to Spindle. He's got his hair shirt, and we find out what happens when he channels his Warren, his very unique abilities. What a character.
Yes, what a character.
Perrin's informed of what had happened to his family. We have to remember where we are in the timeline. Perrin's been in the thick of things on Genabacchus. He does not know what happened to his family, so he's told, and from a timeline perspective, the culling at the beginning of Deadhouse Gates happens somewhere right before this book, so he's informed of what happened. And he handles it pretty well.
Yeah.
It's a very stoic reception of that.
As well as can be expected, I guess.
The bridge burners decide to steal the table back from Brood. Then they attempt to run a game on it because the whole point of this table originally was for them to swing the odds in their own favor and try to swindle people out of their money. Well, they didn't do the magics correctly and they lost all their money this time. When they're investigating why, they find out that a new card has been painted on the underside of the table. This card represents the master of the deck.
Quick question. Do we ever find out who painted that?
Yeah, Silver Fox did.
Oh, that's right. She did. You're right.
She was guided by some force to create the card.
Okay, that's right.
This is where the concept of the master of the deck is introduced. Moving on to chapter 5. Through some conversation, we find out that Tool yields to no one. And that's one of those statements that really kind of impresses upon you what type of character he is and makes you love him a little bit more.
Yes.
We learn more about the Segula culture, and I think both you and I, it's one of our favorite cultures in the books.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Wiccans.
Yes.
You got the Segula. They're up there.
Dude, I just had a flashback. That'd be an ugly battle. The Wiccans against the Segula. That'd be horrific.
I'm curious how that would go, because one's cavalry-centric, and then Segula, they seem to be more ground troops.
They are, but I think the Segula, they know how to face charging enemies, big uns, so I think they could take a charge.
This is true, but what stops a cavalry charge? Isn't it heavy knights or something with shields and pikes?
Yeah, you got to hit that wall to stop them.
Yeah, and the Segula, they don't have that light armor, dual wielding.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, I think.
I don't think they could take a charge,
Yeah, I think the Wiccans would win that one.
What you do is you take the Wiccans and take out the ground troops, and then you send in the Segulas to clean up. They'll kill absolutely everyone. That's left.
We were surprised that the 3 Segula are a punitive army sent to punish the Panyan Daman. So that's pretty wild. That's all it takes is 3.
I was going to say, I think the more shocking revelation is that they were apparently correct. 3 was the number. In a weird way.
Yeah. We're treated to this incredible duel between Thurul and Tool. The situation's escalating. There's 3 Segula. Tool has now beaten 2, but after facing Thurul, Tool realizes that he might not be able to handle Mach.
Do I have this correct? Was Thurul, what is 14? Is that rank or age?
Yeah, rank 14. We find out that Rake visited the island of the Segula at one point and achieved the rank of 7th before he had to flee from exhaustion.
He went in video game style, apparently this champion surfing.
He was, I guess, what they would consider quite disrespectful. Probably not deferring as he should.
Apparently so. These fellas, apparently, you look at them in the eye is a bad deal. I think they'll take a glance once, but twice it's on, apparently. So look down is the preferred way of doing it until you know someone, I guess.
We get the arrival of Krupp and the counselors from Darujistan into Brood's army. The way Call and Murillo reacted to Krupp getting there before them and stealing the horses from them, that was amazing.
It's great stuff.
Crone and Krupp, they have a back and forth, and then Brood can't handle it. He freaks out. You can imagine between those two.
Oh, that's too funny, man. Too funny.
And then everybody else in the tent's laughing at Brood's reaction to that. And that was a nice moment of levity before things start getting real serious.
Yeah.
Kalam is identified as the assassin of Shadow in this chapter. So that's tying the timelines together a little bit between Deadhouse Gates and Memories of Ice. Perrin catching the bridge burners with the table and then making them return it. The way he handled that was incredible. They said, oh, they found it, and we're just planning on returning it. He's like, okay, we'll do it right now then. And they had to go in the morning, so they got no sleep. They were going to try and go get help, and parents said, no, I think you guys got it. It was like 4 of them, this heavy table.
Yeah, that's great. It was absolutely masterful.
Rake arrives at the camp, and Perrin can see his penumbra.
Right?
At the end of the chapter, as Picker is about to leave with the rest of the bridge burners, she's looking exhausted, but she's also looking at Perrin with admiration. And I think this is the beginning of respect.
Yes. I just love that part. I like when he starts to step into they like him now. He's theirs.
Perrin gets snatched by the table, and he gets teleported away to the Finest house. And we find out that Raced, Rallicknom, and Vorkin are all in the house.
Wow.
Raced has a conversation with Perrin. There's a bit of his dry humor there. And Perrin takes a trip into the Beast Hold for the first time. He also learns the truth behind Byrne's sickness and her pact with Brood.
Good information on that stuff.
At the end of this chapter, there's a really fun moment where Callor is talking with Quick Ben. Quick Ben's was somebody else. I can't remember who it was. Callor was about to start something, and Quick Ben just deletes the ground out from under him, and he falls like 10 feet into the hole.
Oh, yeah.
And they run away from him. That was great.
Oh, that's right. Because I remember he makes some comment to Quick about calling him a hoarder of souls, and says, how about if I just kind of like remove some of them from you or something like that, and Quick just pop is there you go and is gone. And he's like, no chance will be had, sir.
That's very reminiscent of at the beginning of Enter the Dragon. Have you seen that? The Bruce Lee movie?
I have, but it's been a long time.
Okay. At the beginning, when they're on the boat going to the island, there's this guy, I think he's from Australia, and he's like, what's your style? And Bruce Lee's ignoring him, and the guy's throwing punches in front of his face. Callor is like that guy, and Quick Ben's like Bruce Lee, just kind of ignoring him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
All right, chapter 6. The children of the Dead Seed are introduced, and if the Teniscowry weren't bad enough, this is the next level of depravity. Absolute insanity.
Absolutely disgusting.
The Barghast are introduced. Hitan and company, they come to join Gruntle, Stani, and Harlow. Hitan is very forward. And Harlow attempts to capitalize on that forwardness, and Stani is disgusted. It's incredible. There's a description of these demons, which we later find out to be Kachain Shamal. Later in the chapter, we see that Bacalane and Corball Broach's carriage were attacked. They were heavily pressed, and they were leveraging the wagon repair warren to fix the wagon and get moving again. Harlow finally gets to capitalize on Hitan's offers. We have this tense evening before the initial battle where we find out what a Kachain Shamal looks like for the first time. And then we see their strength and ferocity in battle. Harlow is killed. It's a really tough scene to get through. Yeah. Gruntle is knocked out by the end of it.
Just real quick thing here is that this book, once it takes off here in chapter 6, when they're kind of attacked here, man, it just barely lets up. I mean, it barely lets you catch your breath.
Yeah, 6 chapters was the setup, I think. And then once you get to that encounter, that first battle right there, that's the first big action that we have, short of the duels with Tool and the Segula.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In chapter 7, we're introduced to the Grey Swords. Quick Ben makes sorceress contact with them. We find out that he planned to contact them all along instead of contacting the true rulers of Kapustan. This was kind of his gambit that was hidden from everybody. He was supposed to be contacting the true rulers, but he's like, hey, these guys seem to be a better contact over in Kapustan for what we're trying to do.
Right.
We are introduced to how the Grey Swords onboard their recruits. And Ikovian takes a couple recruits out with him on this patrol that they go on. We have another battle with Kachain Shamal. Again, we see just how deadly these things are, but we also see how proficient these Grey Swords are.
Yeah.
They go out of their way to protect these recruits, which was really impressive.
Yes.
Prang Cole appears. We remember him from the prologue. He spoke with Kilava. When the Panyan Daman is mentioned in front of Prang Cole, we find out that that's a Jagut word. We're beginning to see the signs that the beginning of the book is being tied to this storyline now. We don't know it at the time, but Panyan's the name of the boy.
Yeah.
It's in this chapter that Tool gives Tok a Talan Imas name, Errol Fail, and calls him his brother.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yeah, because that relationship was really important for you in particular, right? I think you really like Tool and Tok.
Yeah. For some reason, I have a big love for them. Well, I guess it's because Tok is so cool. He befriends a 300,000 plus year old dead thing who looks to him now like a brother. Dude, seriously, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. It's really touching. I don't know why I find this so touching.
Tok has a dream where Treech gets killed by Kachain Chamal. We find out that Kilava kills those 4 Kachain Chamal that took them out. She's pretty powerful. She's taken out 4 Kachain Chamal.
Yeah.
We also find out that she's Tool's sister, and they have a little reunion, and it's pretty emotional. Tool is pretty torn up by it.
He is, and this says something different about the IMAS than we realize. That they actually have emotions is a strange thing to me. I'm thinking of these undead as being, completely hollowed out, except for some memory of who they were. So this is a very core thing.
We don't really have a lot of experience with Talan Imas up to this point, a couple here and there, but we don't really get to know them very well individually.
Yeah.
Tool had always been very deadpan, so it's easy to think that there's nothing going on under the surface. But the theme throughout this entire book was showing that there is a lot still there for them. This is the first sign we see of that. And then continuing on to how the book ends, the memories of ice. All of those memories that we have to go through. They're heart-wrenching memories.
They are. I have to say something about this because we'll cover it at some point, maybe later. But, I always joke and tell you, I always like it when they capitalize on the name of the book or the name of whatever, in whatever you're watching, whatever medium, when they bring out the name. But he really exercised that quite a few times.
Yes, in multiple different ways.
Multiple ways, my good golly. He really got his money out of that one. And I don't blame him. It's a good book. It was a brutal, long slog, but it's like he sure got his money's worth out of that title.
Oh, yeah. The storylines of Akovian and Gruntl's convoy converge. Akovian and some other Grey Swords come across Gruntl's convoy, and then they rescue them and escort them back to Kapustan. The Talan A make their first appearance as well.
Yeah, that was cool.
We also see how Bacalain repaired his carriage with pieces of Kachain Chamal. It turned it into some eldritch nightmare.
That's just nasty sounding. A quick aside real quick. Kilava took out 4 Kachain Chamal. It took Bacalain and Korbal Broach. Those both struggled, and they fended off 1, it said. It took a lot of damage to that wagon and everything else.
It was just 1? I thought it was more.
There was more that attacked them. I think you're right. I think they managed to kill some of them, but they lost everything, all their horrors that they used to defend themselves. And then they single-handedly were able to basically just kill 1 by themselves. While they're, whatever else they made. So those guys kind of essentially are powerful enough to create things to help them, but they struggled to drive off some, and she kills 4 I don't think she exercised much effort.
It's hard to know exactly how powerful she is.
We don't know much about her other than she's a bone caster. The bone casters in this universe are frighteningly tough. I mean, just frighteningly powerful.
Back in Kapustan, there's a scene with Brukalion and Prince Jelarkan where Brukalion commits to sticking out this contract, even though Jelarkan's giving him a way out, because Jelarkan sees it as unwinnable.
Right.
But Brukalion says, hey, we took this contract, so we're going to stay. So building the character of the Grey Swords up a little bit.
They are cool. They're very honorable.
In Chapter 8, we get a juicy little tidbit of information that Gethel is Gothos' brother.
Dun, dun, dun.
Gethel is introduced because I believe he is the Herald of Hood.
It's a good name. He's not named Harold. Harold Hood's Harold?
Harold, the Herald of Hood. We find out that Gethel is Gothos' brother. I believe he comes to recruit Brukalion and gets slashed in the face. Gethel, he gets a visit by the Crippled God, and we find out that the Crippled God is recruiting to create the House of Chains, or quote-unquote, the Crippled Avengers, as we're calling them, and Gethel jumps at the opportunity.
I guess can't score with the ladies anymore with that face wounding, so he's going to go work for the Crippled God.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of a opportunist.
Yes.
His survival is paramount to him, and it seems like he just kind of jumps at the best opportunity to wiggle his way out of getting killed by the Talani mass.
Yeah.
In some ways, I don't blame him, but he's kind of a despicable
Sure.
character. Whiskey Jack and Rake have a meeting in Rake's tent. I think this is the first conversation that's extended between them that we see. Rake had an interest in knowing more about Quick Ben, because Quick Ben had said something offering to help in an earlier chapter, and that had piqued Rake's interest. Whiskey Jack just outright tells him Quick Ben's backstory. This is also the Bridge Burner's backstory, because in Quick Ben becoming what he is today, we find out that that's also where the Bridge Burners were created as they crossed the holy desert Raraku.
Yeah, I forget that that's all the same story.
Yeah, and then we find out that Quick Ben is no less than 12 different mages combined into one.
Yes, I think 12. Yeah, something like that. He's a small four. He's a bad. Was he a football team? The whole team.
Yeah, and this is the first part where we see Whiskey Jack and Rake becoming friends.
Really cool.
That says a lot because Rake doesn't have a lot of friends. And for him to become friends with a human, not a ascendant, is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was really cool. Very core.
This is the chapter where Krupp gives the Maib the sanctified Revi jewelry, those ancient baubles that they got from under Darujistan.
Mm-hmm.
Those come full circle by the end of the book. It's to help tie those spirits to her to try to help her become the server for the new Warren.
Question is, did she get the update patch in time?
I was going to make a joke about that. Yeah. These are those security patches required before full install. We're introduced to Talamandus, and he is bound in place on one of those upside down trees, and Quick Ben is talking to him. And we find out that he had been assaulted by Baclane and Corball Broach, and they treated him very poorly. Quick Ben decides to free him using some very creative mechanisms. That was one of the things that really exposed just how creative Quick Ben is. I think that's one of the first times we've seen him unweaving sorcery in that way.
Yeah.
It's how he thinks outside the box. It's really cool to see that.
It's awesome.
Talamandus, from the beginning, I always liked him as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it again. I was always worried that he was going to turn out to be some malevolent spirit. Turned out to be a good guy.
Yeah.
Went all the way through with everything he committed to, so it was good to see that.
It was really good to see that.
Chapter 9. We get to see how the Segula handle a Kachin Chamal attacking them. It's really impressive.
Yes, it is.
They dismantle that thing.
Surgical, dude.
Tool sees just how skillful Mock is, and he makes an immediate move to challenge him. I think this is where Lady Envy has to step in and say, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think she knocks him out and then knocks Mock out, I think.
Yeah. This is the chapter where that party, they come across that one temple of the Panyan Daman.
Oh.
They're taken in, and it's not a good look.
Yeah.
While they're there, they're being fed, but it turns quite contentious. Talk wakes up in the middle of the night, and everything's being butchered by Gareth and Baeljag, and the Segula are out there killing everybody. They replaced the workers that had been hung from hooks in the yard with the Panyan Seer Daman. That was kind of a fitting end for that character.
Yeah. What's so funny, I mean, this book covers a lot of ground physically. And I completely forgot that, you got the two different groups kind of converging on wherever it's all going down. You got Envy and her group with Tool and Talk and the three Segula. And then you've got like the army coming another way. And I forget how much ground is covered because Perrin and them go off with the Barghaz, which is toward Kapistan. But at the same time, it's like all this, there's so many moving pieces in this one. It's amazing.
Reminds me a little bit of a Tom Clancy book I've said before, where it's a lot of buildup of stories that don't seem connected, and then it all funnels together at the very end.
Yeah, I love that. It's fantastic.
We find out that Talk is Cartheron Crust's nephew. Cartheron Crust, for those that don't remember, he's the captain of the Ragstopper. He's one of those legendary characters that formed the Malazan Empire.
Right. I always forget that. When you say it like that, it's like, oh, that's right. He did form the Malazan Empire with a handful of other fellows and gals.
This is the chapter where Talk makes that really bad decision. to join the Tenascari Horde in order to facilitate reaching the Malazans faster, because he thinks he's going to die if he stays with Lady Envy and company.
And that could have been a real possibility.
Yeah, I mean, Gareth was real jacked up. All of them were.
Yeah. And she didn't pay attention to their needs.
Yeah, and then the Segula are all messed up.
Yeah.
Tools all chewed up. They end up killing 3 Panyan armies. We find that out in a later chapter here. We'll get to it in a second. But you're probably right. Tok couldn't have survived that, realistically.
I don't think he could have.
Chapter 10. We see what's going on with Gruntle in the aftermath of Harlow's death. And Buke tries to step in and shake him from his drunken stupor and get him out of this downward spiral that he's in. This Tenascari Horde that we've been hearing so much about, dreading their arrival, well, they're here. It's like 100,000 of them outside the walls of Kapustan.
Wow.
On a lighter note, Hitan is trying to get after Ikovian now, and Ikovian has his vow of celibacy, and she's making him blush with her demands. He manages to resist. I think he makes it to the end without feeling a woman's touch. So he honored his vow
I think you're correct,
to the very end.
Yes, he did. He honored his vow to the god that didn't exist in his realm anymore.
Yeah. We also find out that the Barghast ancestors that Hitan and Kefal have come to get are buried beneath the Thrall, and they've been there this entire time. And then there's a bunch of boats and bodies in those boats down there. And they apparently had been moved from a bunch of barrows around the city into these boats and then buried here a long time ago. And we also get a little backstory about the Barghast, about how they were fleeing across the ocean and they were being hounded by the Tistadur. And we also find out that the Barghast and the Moranth are related.
Big reveal there.
And then Bruchalion sends Ikovian on a James Bond-style seduction mission with Hitan and justifies it. Apparently, this is a self-imposed vow of celibacy by Ikovian. Nobody else seems to have one in the company.
Yes.
Interesting. I guess he knows himself and decided it would be better if he did not partake.
Maybe the ladies in this town make it easy to be celibate.
All right, chapter 11. We get a bunch of bridge burner hijinks. Spindle's hair shirt catches on fire. There's a Bedoran bull chasing after Dedoran. Hedge gets beat up by Dedoran. Some other stuff goes on. Picker enjoying getting antsy all riled up. We get to see how the bridge burners deal with each other and what they get up to. They're quite entertaining.
Yes. Pretty rough old bunch, but they're funny.
We see that Mallet is having trouble using his Warren because of the infection of the crippled gods spreading throughout the Warrens. So that is where this is becoming more of an issue. Leads to some pretty tense situations coming up here as they're in the Barghast camp. We get to see more of the Barghast culture, and then we have that really amazing duel between Trotz and Humbroltar's son.
Oh, yeah. That's wild. That was a good fight.
Oh, absolutely. Trotz, he ends up killing the guy, but he gets his throat crushed. And then now the fact that there's no healing going on is problematic. Now, Mallet was not there at the time. Perrin had luckily had the foresight before this duel to send the Moranth to go get Mallet and bring him here. Mulch has to give Trotz a field tracheotomy, which ends up saving the day. And then Mallet comes. He accepts the order from Perrin to heal Trotz without hesitation, knowing the toll that it's going to take on his body with this infection in the Warrens. And that kind of shows you what type of person Mallet is.
Yeah, because it almost kills him.
In this process, Quick Ben finds a clever way to help Mallet heal Trotz. The Barghast gods agree to spend their souls. They basically pave the way for Mallet to be able to heal Trotz, which is really incredible. That was one of my core memories from this book.
Yeah.
And they paid a terrible toll doing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of them gave up their existence.
Perrin's squad starts to recognize the choice that he had to make, and they start giving him the respect that he deserves. So they're beginning to believe in Perrin, and it's a great sign.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Chapter 12. Those Forsaken Condors are introduced. Tok is in Outlook,
Nasty thing.
and we're getting a scene of those things up on the towers. It's not good. We see what Tok has been up to in the 3 weeks since he joined the Tenascari Horde, basically starving to death. We learn more about Anastar's mother and his relationship with her. It's pretty toxic.
Yeah.
And just a quick reminder, Anastar is the first child of the Dead Seed. His mother is the first one to lose her mind and go down this path. This is the chapter where we find out that Lady Envy and that group destroyed 3 Panyan armies. And you're probably right. Talk likely would not have survived that.
That would be tough.
Talk meets with the seer. With his magical eye, he can see that the seer is actually just a dead flesh suit covering a jagut underneath. This is also where we start to see Talk getting repeatedly crushed and healed and crushed and healed while he's in the reptilian embrace of the Kachain Shamal matron.
Oh.
Chapter 13 leads to the introduction of the 2 female Marines that are guarding Silver Fox. They have a little conversation with Whiskey Jack about his sister. You start to see Whiskey Jack's humanity coming out and how he talks to the regular troops.
That's really cool.
This is also the chapter where the Trigal Trade Guild wagons appear and the warren opens and blood just pours out. Really cool imagery.
Oh, yeah.
We also get a scene with Calor. He's in his tent and he's sniffing these sentry candles, and we get an understanding of how he's doing this life extension. And I believe this is also where he is recruited into the Crippled Avengers.
Right.
This is also where Whiskey Jack and Corlat finally agree to enter into some type of relationship.
Yeah, really like that.
On this read-through, knowing how it ends, it's always tough to kind of go through those early stages, seeing them happy, because, you know, it's not a long period of time they have together. It's always kind of challenging to read through that.
It is. I agree.
Chapter 14. This is where we find out that Ikovian's vow of celibacy is self-inflicted and is not required to be a member of the Grey Swords. Gruntle finally decides to wake up and take part in this fight. This is really unfortunate because had he decided to take part sooner, maybe Stani would not have been put in the situation where she was so vulnerable and assaulted by the Seer Daemon.
Yeah.
But that assault is what led to Gruntle entering the fray and likely caused Kapustan to not entirely fall because Gruntle makes such a large difference.
Yes, he does.
We see that the Thrall is lit up through some type of protective sorcery throughout the assault. Karul was the one that was protecting the Thrall. Gruntle, as he enters the fray, he starts wrangling up the survivors within Kapustan and having a defensive unit. We hear about this secondhand through a Grey Sword's messenger to Ikovian. So that's pretty cool that we're not seeing it firsthand initially. It's all just reports coming to Ikovian, who's leading the battle. Gruntle wakes up the locals by showing them what will happen to their children if they don't stand up and fight for themselves. And this is where the child's shirt, the standard spattered in blood, begins its life.
Yes.
Gruntle continues to push the limits of his followers throughout this section. And then we find out that most of them are women, which is really incredible.
Yeah.
We only find that out after he makes a quip about them needing to have their weapons sharp enough to shave with, and his second in command is like, hey man, they don't need to shave, they're mostly women. Ikovian rides out to meet Gruntle himself, and then I think this is where he finally realizes Feanor has fallen and Trake is now rising.
Right.
He sees that Gruntle is turning into the mortal sword of Trake. We also see what Bacalane and Corball Broach are doing to defend their compound. The enemies that fall are now becoming their guards. So they basically have a limitless supply of people in order to defend themselves.
Great thinking. You don't have to pay them anything.
We also see how unhinged these guys are when they transform into the ravens and they go and try in the middle of the killing field to try to abscond with Anaster.
Yeah.
They are fought off by Panyan mages. It's kind of crazy that they thought they could just go out into the middle of the battlefield and just take him.
Snatch him. Yeah. Let's take that off. Let's go get him. Let's just go get him.
Chapter 15. Krupp's mule races Corlat and Silver Fox's horses. And that mule, something's going on with that mule. I don't think we ever found out in the book, but it's always hinted at.
Yes.
Calor's info drop on the Kachain Shamal was interesting. He talks about how they invented this new species called the Short Tails, who then rebelled and ended up destroying the entire Kachain Shamal society. This is also the chapter where Krupp taunts Brood until Brood gets so frustrated that he swings the hammer. Krupp is able to withstand the blast.
Yeah.
It goes around him, And then we have that incredible image of the fissure welling up with Burns' blood.
And all of that, remember how Cole and Murillo say that the mountains are now like they were. There's mountains like about a mile away all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because of that swing. But this is one of the most core memories from this book, I think, is that, in particular, that scene stands out the most, I think, in this book. There's a lot of core memories in this one, but that is the funniest one because it's like I can just see Krupp just taunts him and gets him so mad. He just finally just unleashes it. You're like, oh my good golly, this guy raises mountains when he hits that hammer. That's wild.
And this allows Krupp to add the title Defier of Caladan Brood the Warlord to his list of titles.
That's true.
We also get a really incredible scene with Krupp bringing these natty sweet cakes to Silver Fox's 2 Marine guards and them absolutely confounding him with their conversation.
Oh, that's magnificent.
We also have a really fun scene with Brood and Crone where Crone's freaking out like usual. And then Brood, he says they value Crone, but then he offers her meat from the refuse pit because she's hungry. So pretty disrespectful. It was kind of funny. And then on our way out of the tent, Crone jabs him a little bit, giving him a hard time about losing his temper.
Great stuff.
Chapter 16. We get to see through Etkovian's eyes what it's like to weather a Teniscari assault. This is when he's on his horse and him and his gray swords are overrun in that square. And he gets really messed up. Very few of them survive that ordeal. We also get to find out what Gruntle's been up to in that tenement building.
Wow.
Building out that Jell-O meat cube in that building.
Yeah, the Jell-O mold of death.
His transformation into the mortal sword continues. He's becoming barbed. His eyes are turning into, they have vertical pupils now. Carnidus sacrifices himself to heal the gray swords. I mean, he's exhausted. Even through the infection of the Warrens, he's able to push through, and then it ends up killing him.
Yeah.
This was a really touching moment for me. Etkovian stands up, almost passes out because the healing wasn't enough, but he holds it together to alleviate a dying man thinking that he hadn't done enough.
Yeah, Etkovian is the man, dude. He became the man to me in this series, too.
We also have the betrayal of the Grey Swords here. Wrath Feiner lures them out. Bruchalion knows that it's a trap, yet still decides to go. We have his last stand. It's brutal. Yeah. They really messed him up bad. But Hood himself comes to collect Bruchalion.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We go to the throne room in Kapustan, and Anaster and his lieutenants are there at the table, and they have that grisly meal of Prince Jelarcan on the spit roast. It's terrible.
Very gnarly.
And then Etkovian gathers his remaining gray swords, and they go and take the throne room over again. And we begin to see Etkovian's transformation into what he is going to become throughout the rest of this book.
Yes.
Chapter 17. We see that Lady Envy, Gareth, Baeljag, and Tool are assaulting Outlook, which before the Panyan Seer goes to Coral, this was his capital. It's under assault by them. They scare him so much that he had to flee, and he takes Talk and the Kachin Shamal matron with him. And we begin to see the physical toll that this assault took on Baeljag and Gareth. This is where they're really starting to get beat up.
Yeah.
The bridge burners, having left the Barghast tribes, they now enter Kapustan. And one of my core memories is them running through those Panyan camps. They don't realize that the Teniscari that are in Kapustan aren't dead bodies.
Right.
They start getting up. They had already planted a cusser behind them. Somebody throws a cusser in front of them, and they get a double whammy. Perrin gets flattened. The hips, just the hips of a Teniscari land next to him. And for whatever reason, that leaves such a strong image in my mind.
Oh, yeah. Very. I'm like you. It's a very impactful thing.
We also see the flesh ramp that the Panyans constructed to try to assault Gruntle's Jell-O cube headquarters in that tenement. And it's tens of thousands of bodies for this ramp. Picker finally is able to relieve the pressure on her arm from these torques that they confiscated from that artisan at the beginning of the book. She gives them to Gruntle, and his eyes flash when he puts them on his arm. And I think that's the final moment where he officially becomes the mortal sword.
Yeah. He was signing the contract.
Yeah. When the bridge burners get to the same building, the tenement building, they find out that Stani is grievously injured, and the Barghast spirits still help to heal her, which was surprising to me, because they have to sacrifice so much.
Yeah, and as far as I know, I mean, as much as I like Stani, I think she's just a mortal. Nothing fancy about her.
I think it was largely because they saw how important she was to Gruntle, who was obviously pretty critical to what's going to happen throughout the rest of the book. So they're like, well, we got to get him in the right headspace. Because I don't think he could concentrate very well when she was in that state.
Yeah.
Ansi and Picker were getting onto Perrin about him not sharing things with them, and Mallet defends him. Again, we're starting to see people believe in Perrin, respect Perrin, and back him up. That theme continues throughout the book. The Cappan recruit that survived the first patrol with Akovian that met with the Kachin Shamal finally gets a name. Her name is Velbara.
Awesome, she got a name.
And I believe she ultimately becomes the Destriant of the Grey Swords later in the book.
Yeah, I think you're right.
While Akovian feels that the defense of Kapustan was a failure, the Barghast let him know that they respect the Grey Swords and they think they did a great job with the means that they had available to them. We also get this amazing scene where Akovian delivers justice to Rathfainer, and it is brutal.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, that's nasty.
So this is similar to what happened to Hebrick, where they cut the hands off, but the hands are supposed to go to the god, but Fainer is not there anymore to receive the hands. And some other god gets these hands, and Rathfainer begins melting. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's just awful. It's horrific.
After enough suffering has happened, Akovian offers to take the pain of Rathfainer. After he does that, that other god that took the hands, well, Akovian decides to take all of his pain as well.
Yep.
That god has followers. That's the first wave that Akovian receives, and it almost gets him, but he's able to be brought back.
Yeah, just barely.
Picker and Blend decide that they believe in Perrin now, that he has their best interests in mind, that he'll stand up for them. They decide to go start setting anybody in the squad straight if they start talking smack about him. So he is now their captain. They have adopted him.
Awesome.
Gruntle also comes back to his senses. It's almost like he was under some type of trance, and he refers to Trake as the Whiskered One in one of his conversations, showing that he probably wasn't the best choice to be the mortal sword if they wanted someone that's going to bend the knee and be respectful.
Right.
And this chapter closes out with Buke deciding that he is just going to stay in bird form and fly away.
Yeah, and he does. It's about the closest thing you'll get to a happy ending, I guess, in this series. And I'm happy that he chose this for that reason. He gets a happy ending, he just leaves. And I wasn't sure if he would come back or anything. No, he doesn't. He's gone. Buke's gone, man.
Chapter 18. Quickben and the Barghast gods find a way for them to be able to allow Quickben to channel magic. We find out that Talamandis is actually the Magi of Death now. That magic is actually not the Barghast gods, but it's actually Hood's. Quickben finds a very clever way to figure this out.
He does.
The Malazans finally have an engagement with the Panyan forces, and they make very quick work of them. So they're folding quite easily compared to what they thought was going to happen. We have a little bit of a touching scene between Corlat and Whiskey Jack when they're walking through the Warren, where Corlat's kind of fishing for a response from Whiskey Jack, and he's being a little cagey about it, not telling her exactly how he feels. It was kind of cute. We also get a little bit of turmoil in the camp when Brood's side finds out that the Malazans aren't truly outlawed. So there's that little bit of a dust up there.
They got pretty worked up over that. It looked like there was some worry that it could split the fellowship.
There's also a little bit of a disagreement about how to handle the Teniscowry, because the Malazans aren't into executions. The ideological differences between the two camps begin to widen a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Rake comes in on Brood's side, and he has a very measured take on this situation, and so that calms things down a little bit. We also get a little bit more about Hebrick's backstory from Rake. And that was cool to get that in this book because we didn't know much about him and his involvement with Fainur short of him having his hands taken from him.
Yeah.
Quickpen and Talamandus do a bunch of working together here, and it's a fun thing to see these two working together. They're an interesting duo.
Yeah.
Quickpen keeps switching up warrens, being very creative, and he does all of this and enters Bocklane and Corball Broach's estate. It's really creative use of the magic to penetrate their defenses. We get that really amazing scene where Quickben blasts Corball Broach through the wall. Bocklane assumes that Quickben used up all his warrens, and Quickben says that was only half of them, and he blasts him with the other half. It's beautiful.
Amazing. That is truly really core memory too. From this is him just doing that because it's also funny. We needed a little light levity here.
Mm-hmm. When Quickben finds out that the power that he's channeling through Talamandus is not from the Barghast gods, that it's in fact Hood's, he grabs a hold of Hood and has a conversation with him, showing just how audacious Quickben is.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Called him out and spoke right to his face. It's like, wow, okay. Again, another mineral-rich fella.
Akovian realizes that his time is done leading the Grey Swords, and he goes out to the Barghast camp, talks to those shoulder women, and sanctifies the Grey Swords to follow Fandere and Tog, and assigns new leadership for the Grey Swords. So Velbara is the Destriant, and then one of his other Grey Swords becomes the Shield Amble.
Right.
Chapter 19. Silver Fox finally has her meeting with the Talani Mass, and Olar Athiel appears. And this was a really interesting older bonecaster that we enjoyed getting more information about. We also believe she's the dragon that the Solanda followed out of the nascent realm, that great undead dragon. She appeared at the end of Deadhouse Gates. She was the one that was trying to keep an eye on the Path of Hands scenario. So she appears here. Silver Fox, she's feeling hurt. She's feeling abandoned. She lashes out at the Talani Mass. At the time, I was not happy with that. Now I kind of see from her perspective a little bit. Okay, I was not happy that she did that to them, but if you're hurting, you're hurting. So in the end, I think she comes back around.
Agreed.
And apologizes.
Yes. I think it works out good at the end, but it sure took a long time getting there.
Silver Fox ultimately denies the Talani Mass request to free them of their vow. That's kind of what set off our anger towards her a little bit more, I think, at the time.
Yes.
Back with Brood and company, the Malazans are trying to deal with the Tenniscourie, and Rake comes in, picks up a Naster, recoils by touching him, throws him to the side, and then we have the women of the Dead Seed having this sorceress power, and Rake comes down and comes back into his humanoid form, begins to draw Dragnapur. Whiskey Jack steps in. Rake was trying to spare Whiskey Jack having to do this, but Whiskey Jack takes it upon himself, does field executions for these crazy women, and that was a really tough moment for the Malazans. Whiskey Jack tears him up.
Yeah.
All the Malazans see him do it. I think later it's mentioned that Corlat mentions to him that they were feeling it just as much as he was. They weren't judging him for it.
Yes.
Call and Murillo begin their plans to abscond with the Maib. They're going to spend a lot of money to do it. So they're pretty good guys going through all of this.
Yeah.
Because they feel bad for this poor woman who's having her life force stolen away. Talk also has a new voice coming from him in this chapter. So we're beginning to see the burgeoning of the wolf spirit within him. Chapter 20, we're introduced to Coral's Harbor and what it would have looked like if it was still bustling, but now it's just a bunch of dead people hanging from these shacks that are suspended above the bay. Really sad scene because nobody's coming there for trade anymore. We receive confirmation in this chapter that the wolf gods hide within Talk and Baaljag, and it's really kind of a sad situation because they were so close together at the beginning of the book, but they've been separated for eternity, but they didn't know that they were that close at that time.
Yeah, that sucked.
We have a scene with Picker and Blend where Blend keeps appearing, not appearing, depending on what's going on. Bacalane shows up and Picker sucker punches him because she doesn't like his tone. Really fun stuff.
Yeah, I love seeing that.
At the parlay where all of the forces are meeting to decide on how to assault Coral, Itkovian feels like he doesn't belong. He's still feeling that he didn't do a good job in defending Kapustan, and everybody else there is looking at him like he's a hero.
Mm-hmm.
He can't see it the way everybody else does, so he's still taking it upon himself that he's a failure.
No, we cannot.
We finally find out that Karuli is Karul in disguise. I mean, it's kind of in the name. But yeah, I guess the suspicions were always there from the beginning. You know, he did that dream thing with Gruntle and Stani to save them from the Kachain Chimal at that assault earlier in the book.
Yeah, that's right.
Wrath Byrne criticizes Brood for not using Byrne's hammer, and he offers it to her, and it breaks her wrists. It's like Mjolnir.
Yeah, right?
Pretty crazy.
Hey, sure, you want it? Go ahead, take it.
Ikovian finally sets aside his vow to Fener and accepts an invitation to accompany Whiskey Jack and some others for a drink. And it's good to see him beginning to foster these friendships. This is where he starts coming out of his shell a little bit and becoming friends with Gruntle, Stani, gaining the respect of many other people as they make their way to Coral.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. I enjoyed seeing this part of that. Seeing him open up and kind of relax a little bit.
We also find out that the Malazan Empire had been trying to gain access to the Talon Warren at some time in the past, and they were never able to, but the Trigal Trade Guild was. And again, we're seeing, Quick Ben's already nervous about these guys. Now we're seeing that they're also a cut above the Malazan High Mages in their abilities to get into the Talon Warren. Crazy.
Yeah.
Mock confronts Lady Envy about Gareth's poor condition. He calls her out and forces her to heal him. We see she's so self-involved that she didn't even notice that her dog companion is hurting this bad.
Yeah, and this is why Talk probably wouldn't have made it, because she would have noticed it.
As this party, Lady Envy and company, are making their way across the Coral Bay, they get on this floating iceberg that has houses on it, and we're introduced to the culture of the Mekros, which is a really interesting nomadic culture. They float around, and they're on these icebergs. I guess they're kind of fishermen / tradesmen. On this iceberg, there's another Talani mass. She informs them that 50,000 Talani mass have perished fighting an unknown group of humans on the continent of Assail. And she was coming to try to get the help of the Talani mass. And at the end of the book, we find out that the Talani mass, they want to stay in their current form to go help them out instead of accepting Silver Fox's offer to be let go of the vow.
Right.
Chapter 21. The Bridgeburners are the last out of Kapustan. Silver Fox and Perrin finally have a breakup conversation. What did you think of that?
You know what's so funny? Because at the time, I had a lot of animosity towards Silver Fox still. And so I was like, get her out of the picture already. But we do see her make good at the end. So I was glad to see him get this out of the way so that both her and Perrin are free of this emotional weight that is not necessary for either one of them.
Mm-hmm. We get an introduction to Ormulogan and Gumble. I love those two. A painter that's brain-addled from eating paint. And then Gumble, a talking sentient toad, bickering with the painter. It's wonderful.
Very eloquent toad, too. Very eloquent in his insults. Very, very eloquent.
We find out that Bodin is the Knight of Death in this chapter. He's in Hood's temple in Kapustan. Call and Marilio have taken the Mibe there. And we find out that Hood is taking on some responsibility for the Mibe as well. It was a deal with Silver Fox. She was supposed to give the souls of the Talani mass to Hood. That's what it was.
He wanted them souls, baby.
Picker and Blend have a conversation about everyone getting busted down, followed by Whiskey Jack and Dujek, confirming that Lacine did it on purpose to have the right people at the ground level when things went down with Shadowthrone and Cotillion. So the Bridgeburners have always seemed incredibly proficient, and likely it's because all the best people are at the lowest ranks, And it's on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Because these guys are like, apparently they're all elites. It's like they're the unknown elite squad. You know, they're elite. They don't even know it themselves, but they are.
We also find out that there used to be an entire company made only of sappers until there was a great accident, and that was decided that would never happen again.
You lose all your munitions in one spot.
And I believe Spindle was the leader, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think you're right on that. Explains a lot about Spindle.
It's here where we find out that Tattersail is being led to be the mistress of the deck.
Right.
We find out that Dujek and Whiskey Jack suspect that Urko Crust and Dasim Ultor may still be alive.
Nice.
Oh.
I'm ready. I need to see these boys.
If they're alive.
If they are, in fact, alive, yes.
This is the chapter where we see a care package being sent to 7 cities via the Trigal Trade Guild. So that really helps tie the timelines of the books together again.
Yes, that's so cool.
They help give water and supplies to the Chain of Dogs, but also munitions to Fiddler when he really needed it.
Yes, getting into Tremor.
Perrin accidentally performs his first blessing in this chapter as well, in relation to the Grey Swords.
That's right, I forgot about that. Chapter
22. Crone comes to Brood's camp, has a complete meltdown over not knowing where Moonspawn is. Completely freaking out. Yes, uncharacteristic. Yeah.
Dude, it's a bad one. Yeah, it's a big freak out, dude.
This is the chapter where we finally see Corlat has fully fallen for Whiskey Jack. That's pretty incredible, again, because he's already befriended Rake, which that's incredibly rare for him to have a friend. And then Corlat, a super long-lived Tistandi, is also falling in love with him. He's just like a really great guy that everybody seems to love.
Big charisma. Got that 18.
Yeah. We have kind of a fun conversation. Stani's getting onto Gruntle and Ikovian, being in the way. They're on a plane going somewhere, and they're kind of bantering back and forth, telling Stani, hey, how can we be in your way if we're on a plane? And, you know, Stani being Stani has some smart thing to say about it.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed this part with Ikovian in particular because he gets to enjoy some normality with these people, and he kind of experience, you know, a little bit of this kind of life, and that he's always been kind of kept separate from the other Grey Swords. Here he's kind of like part of something, and actually seems to be kind of actually taking a little bit of fun, having a little fun here while he's got the time to do it.
It's good to see that side of him coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Gruntle and Ikovian go back when they hear that Bocklane and Corval Broach are behind them, and Ikovian points out that Mancy has a tooth issue to Bocklane, and Mancy's reaction is pure gold.
Yes, it is.
He does not want that surgery to happen again.
Nope.
Call also pushes Murillo to find out whether Lady Simtal had his child. Murillo says maybe, he's not sure. Murillo also tells Call the hard truth that he's not really cut out to be a father, and it doesn't really serve the child for him to come in and rip her from whatever situation she's in right now, if it's just to make Call feel better about himself. So that was really stand-up thing from Murillo. Sometimes friends really have to tell their friends the tough news.
Yeah.
And we also get that really incredible image with the Maib where she's on the tundra and she comes across that rib cage. And that's one that was always really interesting to me.
Yeah, always.
Chapter 23. Perrin is continuing to earn the loyalty of the bridge burners. This time it was Blend trying to tell a fib about hearing her squad way behind her because she was supposed to be scouting ahead. She was too far ahead. Picker called her out on it.
Right.
And Perrin pretended like he didn't know she was trying to get over on him. That's the kind of stuff that they appreciate.
It is. Makes him part of the group. Makes him their commander.
Hitan threatens to shut up Krupp by betting him. And we see where that goes. We see who becomes the master there. It's hilarious. Initially, Krupp is quite resistant. I don't know if he's playing hard to get or not.
Yeah, I'm never sure with him. Can't believe anything he says.
The mystery of a random Tistadur appearing out of nowhere, seemingly crushed by great pressure. This was always one that took me by surprise. I didn't know what it meant on my first read-through. It may make more sense as you continue to read through the books. Just plant this as a memory in your head. And just as a quick reminder, in case you forgot, Perrin and the bridge burners stopped there with some Moranth on their way to Coral and did some investigation. Perrin begins to use his abilities a little bit more. He's exploring them, and he goes to the Throne of Shadow, and he finds out that is fleeing from the Tist Edur due to their corruption.
I forgot that reason.
He also goes into Dragnapur and has a conversation with Draconis, and Draconis tells him to go take a look behind the wagon, see what's chasing them. We're treated to this image of wall-to-wall chaos pursuing the wagon that carries the gate to darkness, to Corald Galain. And that is one of my favorite images from this book.
Yeah, very much so. It's a great image.
Perrin attempts to locate Animander Rake and cannot locate him. He's rebuffed.
Yeah, he is.
We are introduced to Marshal Straw, and by extension, the Bull brothers. We get a bunch of background info on the Mott Irregulars. We learn that Calor has repeatedly tried to get rid of them. We find out that they have spies all over the place. These guys are something else. One of my favorite parts of this book, every time they are sprinkled into the story.
The redneck elite.
The Mountain Men.
Yes, they are the Mountain Men. They're horrifying. Think about Jeremiah Johnson, how much he scared the Crow people, dude. One man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a conversation between Calor and Brood. Calor is going on and on. I've done this. I've done that. Do you know what this means? And Brood's response is beautiful. He goes, yeah, you never learned. That's one of my favorite conversations with Calor.
Oh, that's great, dude.
He does have a tendency to go on.
Ad nauseum.
The bridge burners ambush the much larger Panyan forces outside of Coral. The way that they use their skills, they had a limited number of people, but the Panyans weren't expecting them. This is the one where they start throwing munitions and everything immediately out of nowhere. It's dark. The Seerdaman, they drown him with water in his own lungs. It was a really amazing ambush.
Yeah, it was awesome, man.
Chapter 24, Call knocking out Wrath Shadow Throne outside of Hood's temple. When he pops off, I guess he got a little too sassy and Call had enough of him. It was great.
He had enough of it. Common folk get tired of these highfalutin folks. It's time to just lay them out.
Dujek has a conversation with the bridge burners. They decide that they should go into Coral because it's the right thing to do, even though the odds are stacked against them. Mm. We also, in this chapter, find out through Quick Ben that Blend is an adept. She doesn't know it. She thinks it's that necklace that some swindler in Seven Cities sold her. That's pretty incredible that she's able to hide through magics that she doesn't know about.
Yes, she's doing it herself and has no idea she's doing it.
This is the chapter where the Panyan forces are marshaling to march up to where the bridge burners have entrenched themselves after they ambushed the Panyans in the last chapter. Quick Ben's using all this illusory magic, the Panyans' fear against them, all those demons fighting each other, the Seerdamans attacking each other.
Yeah.
It all ends with him raising up that smoking, steaming scree and that whole landslide situation. That's one of the core memories of the final battle to me.
Yeah. It was a game changer, I feel. It helped on our guys' side. It really saved the day. It was awesome.
And then Quick Ben and Perrin decide to try and take on one of those condors. Perrin gets pretty messed up, but they're able to take it out. Perrin telling Mallet not to heal him after he got sutured up because there were other people that needed more healing. Because for Perrin, it would have just been effectively plastic surgery to get rid of the scars. That shows a lot about his concern for the other troops. You know, he'd rather suffer the scars than have somebody else die when they could be healed. So I think that showed a lot about his character.
Yeah, very much.
The bridge burners were the first into Coral, and when they get in there, what they think are gargoyles turn out to be those condors on the battlements, and they have to deal with them. And they're very creative in the ways that they deal with them. Between the spirits lifting toes up to the top of the wall to take those grapnel hooks up there, Spindle unleashing his warren to mess up the animal component of the condors, and Quick Ben using Corald Galain to teleport the squad onto the top of the battlements. I mean, really creative use of their abilities.
Yes.
Really enjoy watching the bridge burners work here.
Yeah, they were great.
Picker also finally tells Perrin that he is now considered one of them. That's a really touching moment.
Very.
Tool shows up and explosively announces his presence. He doesn't just fly in on the wind as dust. He knocks down the door explosively.
Yeah, he does.
Those condors continue to be a problem, taking out thousands of Malazan soldiers in the process. Tool kicking that Kachane Chamal hunter through the wall. I mean, like, all of these moments, the highlights, the final battle that Deteran has in the hallway, and Trots, all core memories here.
It's a third reel in the movie.
Yeah.
It's the end of Kelly's Heroes, the last 30 minutes of Kelly's Heroes, all core. This is it.
Yeah.
Which is where it all hits. It's all been paying off to this, and man, when it hits, and it's just so amazing. And it's these last two chapters are so amazing, dude, with all the action. It's some of the most action-packed chapters I've ever read.
This is also the chapter where we lose Whiskey Jack through Calor's betrayal. Very tough thing to deal with.
Still pissed off.
We also find out that Artanthos is Tayshrin in disguise. He's been there the whole time throughout this whole book.
Yeah. He's powerful, too.
Yeah, very powerful. That golden wave he unleashes in chapter 25, crazy.
Ooh.
Gruntle and his followers turn into a single tiger. They go out into the middle of the battlefield, start getting chopped up, bodies falling out of it as they're getting chopped to pieces. And Ikovian offers to take the sorrow from the Talani mass. And that is a massive wave.
Yeah, it is.
Chapter 25. Tayshrin really impresses with his use of his sorcery, even though it's really costing him a lot. He does that huge golden wave and then suffers quite a bit. I think it ends up splitting his face open. He just takes a lot of damage.
Yeah. The chaos infection, it really messes him up pretty good. But he does it for the greater good.
The greater good. I finally gave it to you.
Yeah.
Ikovian is pummeled by this flood of sad memories. They're really heart-wrenching to read through.
Yeah.
And we just got a small amount of them. We didn't get a couple days of the 300,000
60,000 60,000 testimonials of how terrible it is to live for 300,000 years.
Tool finally finds Talk. It's really sad. We finally get the duel between Tool and Mock.
Dude.
I think it'd be really cool to see in the darkness with the sparks everywhere from their weapons.
Yes. They hit so many times so fast, you'd be able to see it in that real super fast strobe light type effect.
Yeah. Now, in the epilogue, Lady Envy mentions that Mock's mask is cracked. Do you think Tool cracked it?
I don't know if she cracked it or did it when she got...
Threw him against the wall?
When Kilava... Yeah, that's my thought. Because if Tool would have cracked his mask, he would have got a hit in the face with that thing. I don't think that mask is more decoration, I think, than any armor.
Talk ends up killing himself to unleash the wolf god within him. We finally find out what is happening with the Maib, what is being fashioned. Tog and Fandere come back together. They're reunited. That's a great thing. Hedge sacrifices himself to save his squad. Doesn't even think twice about it. He had the cusser ready. He probably had it planned.
Oh, yeah.
Kurald Ghislaine arrives, and then we find out where Moonspawn has been hiding. And what a reveal that is. Coming up out of the water. They turned it into a submarine. Crazy.
That was awesome. Having the thing just jump up out of there like that.
Then we find out that the Tistandi haven't done a full unveiling of Kurald Ghislaine in this realm until now. That's pretty crazy given how long they've been alive. But we also find out that this full unveiling is basically almost permanent, where it's just like a crossover between this realm and this manifestation of Kurald Ghislaine.
I always have kind of a hard time understanding that one. And I'm assuming that you just cross this threshold at some point, all of a sudden you're just walking in darkness. And real darkness, not darkness that we know, but like Kurald Ghislaine darkness. It's an odd thought.
Ikovian unfortunately dies under the burden of everything he took from the Talani mass.
Yeah, that was really sad.
Yeah. The procession of people paying respects to Ikovian is one of those really beautiful moments from this book.
Yeah, very heart-wrenching.
It was nice to see a happy ending where Quickben found a solution for the Jagut. They saved the little girl. They wiped her memory. The brother is on a path to redemption, and they're able to live out their days in Byrne's realm, slowing the infection from the crippled god and hopefully unbothered by the Talani mass.
Right.
Picker and her interaction with Rake also was another high point. This happened before the internment of the bridge burners in Moonspawn, where Rake wants to walk with them to the meeting of the survivors after the battle. He offers to inter the bridge burners, and Picker asserts that their oath of friendship, if you will, still held between the Tistandi and the bridge burners throughout all this.
Yes, all 5 of them. That was some real touching stuff with Rake and Picker. That really was very touching to me because of the fact that he had just been, everything he did there for the bridge burners, the fallen bridge burners, all that stuff. It was really, really emotional for me.
Yeah, because it again shows just how much they meant to Rake, who could have been doing any number of other things, but he chose to do this.
Yeah.
We also get Perrin and Quick Ben getting to go pay their last respects to the bridge burners and Whiskey Jack in Moonspawn. And that's an incredibly touching scene.
That's a very touching scene for me.
Perrin blesses them, and then a glow begins in the chamber. So something is going on with that.
Yeah.
Talk being resurrected into Nastra's body.
Yes.
At least Talk is back. We didn't lose him. He's now the mortal sword of the Grey Swords. So there's a little bit of a happy ending for him there.
Yes.
We get that one final scene with Bacalane and Corval Broach. They're going to go meet the Bold brothers.
The final scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gruntle and Anastar are on the road to becoming friends. That's absolutely great.
I love that. Yes, very much.
Quick Ben getting promoted to High Mage. The desert snake can't hide under his rock anymore.
Wow. That's awesome. I'd forgotten about that too. How he just got dropped into High Mage Quick Ben. It's like, oh, crud. Oh.
The 5 remaining bridge burners getting a well-earned retirement and then deciding that they are going to spend 50% of it on buying Cruel's belfry and attached temple that is viewed as cursed by the locals.
They let the one guy pick it out too. They let Ansi do the purchase.
Yeah. Perrin finally earning the respect he needed from the bridge burners. That's great to see. And talking through it in this episode, all the little things, recognition that he earned and earned their respect over throughout this book. It's great for that to culminate in him becoming one of them.
Yeah. It actually has my fist up in the air, just pumping the air like, yes, it's so cool, dude.
Tool deciding not to be the first sword anymore and somehow returning to a real body and going to visit Talk and wishing him well.
That was really, really cool. I needed that.
Finally, the way the book closes out with Perrin becoming roommates with Raced, House of the Azath in Darujistan, and then the final scene in Cruel's bar where Duiker appears, shocking us that he's back. We didn't think he was back in this book.
Yes.
Finishing out the book with a reminder of what happened in Deadhouse Gates.
Yeah. And man, and that is just a chilling way. It just makes the hair stand up even now because it ends with him telling the story of book 2, basically, to this group that didn't know what's going on. It's like, oh my gosh, that just really gets me. It really gets me.
Are there any other moments that you can think of that we might have looked over that you wanted to mention?
We've cut it down because there's so much to talk about.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be our favorite moments. So are there any of your favorite moments?
I think most importantly, in particular at the end here with the Tool and Talk, where Tool comes by in his strangely acquired human body just to check on Talk and see that he's okay. That was really very touching to me. And I think I agree with so much of everything you said. In particular, the stuff with Rake at the end with the bridge burners is always really the part that always gets to me. Because, like you say, it's just an individual that's such a long-lived individual can take the time here to acknowledge these people that live like seconds as far as he's concerned in his life. And to acknowledge the amazingness of these individuals and how much that they mean even to him. It's just, it's always such a touching part of this book to me.
I agree. Very much so. All right. Great job tonight, Billy.
Hey, man. Great job, man. Great job.
All right. I'm going to turn the floor over to Billy. He has an announcement he'd like to make.
as much as this pains me to say this, after about 3.5 years of doing this, it's time for me to step away from the Malazan Brotherhood. This is not an easy goodbye. This podcast has really meant a lot to me. And I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who've joined us on this journey, for all the downloads you've done, all the messages you've sent us, the theories and the laughs along the way. You've really made this really more than just a podcast. It really is a brotherhood in the truest sense. And most of all, Kamraun, I want to thank you. You're more than just a partner. We've been friends for a long time, but this really helped me to be closer to you. This has been one of the great joys of my life. I've learned a lot about you. I learned about things that we like together, laugh louder and harder than I ever expected to. And all because of our shared love for these one series of books. And though I'm stepping away from this is always going to have a special place in my heart. So I'm going to always hope that this continues going on, man. And thank everybody. Y'all are the best, man. Thank y'all for all your support in this time.
Thank you very much, Billy. It's asking a lot for anybody to show up every week for 3.5 years. So I appreciate you going on this journey with me.
Dude, it's been a blast. I love you so much, man. You know that.
Yeah. Back at you, brother.
No, I'm trying not to make us cry. Well,
I mean, it's not like we're not going to talk to each other.
Oh, I know it. I feel bad about leaving this series, but y'all keep reading. Please don't stop reading this series, man. This series is the greatest thing you'll ever read. I promise you. Keep reading.
Well, thanks again for your partnership. We will be in touch, of course. If anybody wants to reach out to Billy, I'll be in touch with him. If you email contact@horsefrogproductions.com, I can always pass a message on to him. He is just a phone call away.
Yes. And again, thank y'all all. Thank all of y'all. Love y'all so much. Thank you. You've made me a very happy person.
Thank you, Billy.
No, my pleasure, man. Thank you, Kamraun. And again, thank y'all, everybody. It was really a real joy, and I look forward to continue to listen to Kamraun's amazing podcast. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Billy has just signed off following his final episode. I wanted to take a moment to update you on the plans for the future of the podcast. Billy told me he wanted to stop the podcast a couple of months ago, and I evaluated my options, and the first thing that came to mind is that I'm fairly certain that no one wants me sitting here laughing at my own jokes and reading these books on my own. I truly enjoy going through these books with people that care about the story and want to dive in at the level that we've been diving in for all these years. As I was thinking about it, I had two options. I could either quit, which felt like a waste because we've spent all this time building this podcast and people are enjoying listening to it. My second option was there was one person that I thought I could approach and they may want to join me. So I spoke with them and they said yes. So starting next week, I will have a new co-host. I have a short introductory episode that I'm going to release before the actual episode next week. So don't worry, we're not going anywhere. The episodes continue on a weekly basis and we'll keep trucking along, however long it takes to finish this series. So thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. Again, if anybody wants to reach out to Billy, just email us and I'll forward it on to him. Thank you. See you next week.